energy. So if you're just joining, welcome to Breaking Addictive Habits and Getting the Love Life You Desire. So I think we've all probably had, some addictive patterns and habits. Like personally for me in my early 20s, it was food and just like emotional eating. And then kind of smoking cigarettes here and there and just kind of being a social smoker. And then over time, the smoking kind of became more of an addiction, like a physical body, like, oh my God, if I don't have a cigarette, I'm going to have a not fun experience. And the way that I quit both of those was anchoring into myself, like resourcing love and energy from within my body. From the first addiction of like breaking food addiction, I actually went through therapy. And I was thinking, okay, like I hired a therapist to work on my addiction and that this is my big problem. I'm going to talk about it and we're going to talk about my problem. And we never actually addressed the issue of why I'm eating. We just went into body and sensation and what I was feeling and like what was underneath that feeling. And so we just went into sensation. And over time of working through all of these body sensations and the feelings and the emotions underneath them, the addiction just slowly started to fade into the background to the point where I didn't think about food anymore, where it was like a 24/7 like obsession of like, oh my God, I have to eat something. And then with quitting smoking, it was kind of a journey for me, but I remember the last time that I felt addicted and it was like I was addicted, and then I did this chakra body meditation, and I just like resourced so much energy in my chakra system, and then by the end of the meditation I was no longer addicted. And that's after like years of doing this stuff and years of cultivating my body mind and years of tantra yoga. So it wasn't just like a magic wand, but in that moment like I was just ready to give it up. And so just knowing like these things can take time to build new neural networks inside of your brain. But if you've been doing work on yourself for a long time and you just need that flip switch, like it can also be sudden. So that's just a little personal intro of being vulnerable and knowing that it took a certain level of vulnerability to be here and kind of address habit energies that we don't really like and ways that our brain and our body gets hijacked and that we feel like we don't have a lot of control over, and how that's impacting you really creating a love and sex life where you can truly thrive and you can have a stable, consistent, nourishing, vibrant, romantic life that really feeds and nourishes you and meets your needs, but doesn't make you like needy or graspy or codependent. So how many of you kind of like resonated with that so far? Give a little thumbs up. Look at a few little nods. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and get started then. And you can all hear me right now.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any, tell me again, you said some of the work that you've done in the past that sort of led up to, I guess my question is, because I work a lot with like internal family systems, family constellations, stories about, the past. And I feel like they inform my addictions big time. And I'm just wondering if there's any pieces of that that go into it, or it seems like from what you just said, it's just being about in the super duper present time. Is that true?
What do you mean about the family constellation informs your
I'm
addiction?
just actually, I think it's fair to say that a lot of addiction comes out of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm going to get into that. So why
okay,
don't you save questions
no
for the
problem.
end and then see if it makes sense or
Okay,
not? Because I think
great.
I'll address your question.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So we have two more people joining. And just going to get started here. Cool. So I had a little presentation for you all. And all right, so welcome everyone. And thank you so much for being here. I know you could be doing a lot with your evening, so it says a lot about you that you're willing to show up for yourself. So I really appreciate you for being here. And we want to go to the next slide. And it's being silly. So 1 second. I'm gonna exit out of that and see. We're gonna do this over again, I think. Stop that. Slight technical difficulty here. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. I have a button. So you're here. So I know this is important for you to shift or an important time to make a change in your life. And there may be conscious or unconscious habits or addictions that you've tried to work through that might be robbing you from creating the life that you want or receiving the love and intimacy that you deeply crave. And it's my intention that by the end of this class, that you'll have the tools and education start the path of breaking out of those addictive habits for good and create a roadmap to thriving in sex, love, and relationship. Welcome, Jeff. Just saw you pop on. So I'm going to be giving about this presentation for 40 minutes, and then we'll go into about a 30-minute somatic embodiment practice. So you really anchor in all of these concepts and ideas into the body, because it's really important to have a physical, sensational experience of all the concepts I'm going to be talking about. So pretty much once I transition out of this presentation mode, you can lay down, like have a comfy bed, couch space, whatever. So is this you? If you have a habit that you've been trying to break, but no matter how hard you try, you always relapse. You suffer from anxiety, maybe after a first date, and you're anxiously awaiting for that phone call for them to call you back or text you back. Or you yearn for deep, long-lasting love, but you don't know how to create it. Or you lack some form of sexual confidence and suffer from performance anxiety, so you'd rather not put yourself out there in the dating field. And you're wanting to date, maybe you're just not finding anyone emotionally available. Or you've gone through many toxic, codependent relationship patterns and want to truly have a safe, long-lasting relationship. I didn't actually cover if you're already in a relationship and you just want to improve like the dynamic that you're already in. So that can be you as well. And so what you'll receive, my titles are covered up by these nice faces. So you'll learn a self-connection technique that helps you break unhealthy habits by creating the inner ecology of thriving. And then you'll be able to spot the signal inside of yourself, which is kind of signaling that there is a disconnect. And instead of reaching for something outside of you for the soothing, that you reach inside of you for love. And then you'll start to attract healthy, loving, stable partners that are ready to show up for you consistently. I think for women especially, consistency is really important for us. And every woman that I talk to is kind of like, yeah, he just like wasn't consistent in the way he followed through with his word and all of that. So it's kind of a sign of an internal pattern as well. And you'll feel more connected to your body, so you don't obsess over those unavailable partners or situations. Stop overgiving. I know this is a huge one for most people, is the overgiving, people pleasing. because your worthiness and validation. You'll stop overgiving because your inner validation will come from you. And then you'll have a tangible feeling of self-love, which will become your superpower. So this is a little disclaimer. This practice does not cure you overnight. It does, however, address the root cause for addiction, which is disconnection, and the remedy that I'm presenting, which is connection within yourself. So if you're committed to doing the deep work and taking full responsibility, then stay till the very end. I will be offering a free meditation follow-up. So you'll have this recording for the meditation. And then these results do not typically happen suddenly. It usually takes real time, commitment, a daily practice of some sort to create new neural pathways for lasting change. And this is not meant to treat or diagnose any disease. And if you're really struggling with drug or alcohol addiction, then consult a medical professional. So this is your invitation that you get to make a decision right now. More than ever, you get to commit to yourself. So who here feels committed to yourself for showing up? Yeah, and a little wave. Yeah, thumbs ups. Okay, cool. So in order to get the benefits of this class, just stay committed through the whole class and give your permission to go deep in the somatic practice. So who is this for? If you are a heart-centered, compassionate being and you want to make a difference in the world, you know that what happened to you in the past is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal it and become whole. Like, we've all probably had some form of trauma, abuse, just fucked up things that happened to us. And I want you to know it's not your fault, but it is our responsibility to heal from it. So you're willing to take that personal responsibility and take action steps from the inside out. And you're ready to look at the root cause of your pain and quit your coping mechanisms of avoidance. And you know that you're meant for deep, fulfilling relationships and are ready to commit to the path of thriving. So who is this not for? Is if you're satisfied with the status quo, you don't believe any kind of change is possible, you blame others for the issues you have in your life, you're not ready to commit time, energy, and money to meeting your goals, or you're highly judgmental of yourself and others and cannot see that our differences are what make us stronger. I'm going to just send a link to a straggler here. Just trying to get in. All right. And many of you don't know who I am, so I'll just introduce myself. My name is Lauren Emily Searles, and I've worked in the tantric healing arts for 10 plus years. I'm certified as a sex, love, and relationship coach through the Vita method, which is Layla Martin's school for coaching. And I serve heart-centered men and women who want to thrive in sex and love and really create the relationship life that they know they deserve. So if you weren't here in the first 5 minutes, I kind of was just talking about how I struggled with food addiction in my early 20s. It was like food was the first thing I thought about when I woke up, the last thing I thought about when I went to sleep. And it was really taking over my life. Like, I couldn't really function outside of that addiction. And so I finally hired a somatic-based therapist that worked with sensations in the body. And we never really spoke about my addiction. We actually just dropped into the sensations and the emotions underneath that, all the things that I wasn't feeling. And I fully recovered. I just don't even remember I don't totally remember the day that I didn't stop thinking about food, but there was just like a moment you're like, oh my God, I'm not addicted anymore. And similar, I also quit smoking. So, what is this? This way. This over. can't figure out this little cute box of our heads. So what I've found in my 10 plus years of helping men and women create the sex, love, and love life they desire is that if there's like an energy leak holding you back, it's kind of like what these addictive energies are, or they're unmet, unhealed wounds, then it's really difficult to create the relationship life that you desire. It's difficult to move forward if there's something that's always kind of perpetuating a similar pattern over and over again. If you are like rowing a boat and you're using all of your manpower to get to a certain destination, you're never really going to get there, or it's going to be really difficult to get there if there's a leak in the back of the boat and creating all that resistance. So it's my belief that all habit and addiction patterns form out of disconnection, and we can plug that leak. So kind of addressing Justin's question a little bit, it's kind of like, well, where do these wounds come from? We all have a core wound of an unmet need as a child. So like our brain developed between ages, just say 0 and about 7, in many, many ways that were really vital for our health and our well-being throughout our adult lives. And so if there was a perceived unmet need or a really true unmet need that you didn't get fulfilled, that really triggers a belief system or a trauma pattern in the body that is perpetuated throughout our adult lives. And just for the ease and grace of this presentation, I'm going to present our most basic needs as love, safety, and belonging. We have more human needs than that, but they can maybe like fit under one of those categories. Like we have a need for acceptance. Like we need to feel like we are okay, that we're truly accepted just the way we are. And if we're not accepted, we can kind of like feel that we're not truly loved, or we feel like we don't belong because we're not accepted by our parents or mother or father. And then that threatens your sense of safety. So if you feel like you don't belong, you're going to feel like, second password. If you feel like you don't belong, again, that's going to trigger your safety mechanism, and it's going to kind of trigger that whole downward spiral. So we're going to anchor into love, safety, and belonging as part of nourishing and nurturing that healthy inner ecosystem. So you kind of learn how to start to meet your inner needs that didn't get met as a child, and heal some of those core wounds so that you're not kind of like going into codependent patterns or perpetuating some of these dynamics. So I'm gonna figure out how to get this. Here, I can just do my face. I'm gonna just, yeah, I'm gonna go forward from here if I get out of screen share mode. Does anybody just have a question if they want to chime in really quick?
I just wanted somebody in the meetup commented they're waiting to be let into the Zoom.
Oh, is BT still on there? I'll just come out. Oh, there's 5 people. Okay. My system must have popped off. Cool. All right. So hopefully we got everybody back in here. Thank you for that. Cool. Well, if you're just joining, we're just kind of getting started on just like the core teachings here. So I'll go back into screen share mode, and if any kind of emergency chats come up, I can't see the chat box while I'm in presentation mode, so you're welcome to unmute yourself and kind of chime in, but I'll try to pause every once in a while. Okay, so we're here to break addictive habits and get the sex and love that you desire. So I'm going to share this first truth that is so vital and important, even though it seems really simple. So truly thriving is based on an ecosystem of connection. And then all disease and addiction live in an environment of disconnection. And this is part of neurobiology, founded by Daniel Siegel. That's from something else. So thriving is based on connection. So to thrive in sex and love, you need to reconnect with yourself, right? Because we can, like, in order to get out of codependency, we have to learn how to meet some of our own needs. So connecting with yourself, and then also connecting all of the parts that the self, parts of the self, sorry, this is not incorrect, or this is incorrect English right now. So there's different parts of yourself in your psyche and your body that you also need to reconnect. So we have like inner child parts, we have kind of like repressed parts that we've left behind, disowned parts, lost parts. So like if you were a really sensitive child growing up and that was just like part of your gift, right, is being this really sensitive, attuned, maybe emotional child, but you were shamed for having that sensitivity or emotions, then you would have disowned that sensitivity. And you would have been like, I'm going to just kind of be this like rough, serious man or woman, and you disown your inner sensitivity. So I'm also referring to reconnecting with that part, that sensitive part, that vulnerable part. It's kind of a larger concept in psychology. So this means welcoming all the parts of you that you don't like. So this is a little bit into shadow work. All of our pain, addiction, energy, anxiety, and wounds come from an inner wound of feeling disconnected. So obviously the remedy is to bring in more connection to those parts and to welcome them in with love and compassion, which we'll do later in the exercise. And there's kind of just this, you know, we're taught spiritually that we're all one and we're all connected, and we know that, you know, if the sun didn't come up or if there was a lack of oxygen, like we would die really soon, right? Like we rely on the food supply chain, we rely on water, right, coming out of our faucets every day. But because it's so interwoven with our reality, we don't realize how interconnected we all are. So we kind of know this spiritual truth, like, oh yeah, we're all one, but we don't experience that really truly on a daily level. And also our conditioning and our socialization doesn't really encourage this interwovenness, this interconnection. But the deeper you go in some of these practices, the more you're going to feel that's actually true and real for you. I think I have one more straggler. 1 second. Oh, they're having tech issues. Okay. Hopefully now we have everyone in that was trying to get in. So disease and addiction live in an environment of disconnection. So if we have a belief about ourselves, like we're unlovable.
Hi, Lauren. This
Yeah.
is Prantik, real quick. I'm sorry for the interruption. But I think there is probably a little bit of noise coming from your side since all of us are muted. If it's not really loud, so it's not really.
Is it just the fan? I just turned my
probably.
fan. Okay. Is that better?
I hope we are not giving you any pain or something.
No, not at all. Yeah, hopefully this is better.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And perfect. So, and I skipped the slide. So thriving is based on connection. But we all have these kind of core wounds which came from that disconnect. So mine is I am unlovable. You could have one that it's not safe. It's not safe to be me. If you're not muted, please mute yourself because I do think I hear some kind of background noise. You could have a belief that you're not enough, or that there's not enough energy, time, love, safety in the universe. Parts of me are unacceptable. And you don't feel like you belong. And that could be in your family, your tribe, with peers, or just in the world in general. That's a really big wound for many people right now. So these beliefs usually cause us to break off and dissociate with the part of ourselves that we deem unlovable, unacceptable, because someone in our past or in our life or in our family has rejected us or rejected that part, or had some kind of inconsistent caretaking. Like if your parent was there and then not there, if they suffered from addiction or trauma or mental illness, it's really hard to get that stable, consistent, steady source of love from your caretakers. This leads to inner fragmentation, disconnection, loneliness, and actually many diseases can be tracked to fragmentation in the brain. Back to Dan Siegel. He's like my favorite neurology. He wrote The Neurobiology of We. It's an amazing book if you want to go really deep into some of these concepts. So he says, according to the Human Connectome Project, studying how the differentiated areas of the brain are interconnected or linked reveals that the best predictor of well-being is how interconnected your connectome is. Integration in the brain is the best brain correlate of well-being. Studies of mindfulness and compassion training reveal an increase in neural integration. So the Connectome Project is this really amazing, dense study around mapping every single area and neuron and connection in the brain. So it's kind of like this ultra detailed three-dimensional map of connections of all the trillions of neurons and how they communicate with each other in different areas. So he's saying that the signal of true health and well-being is just how connected are all of these pieces. And if you go further into research, there's many researchers now that are saying, well, the brain and the body are actually one. So I would say that doesn't just stop in your brain. It's like, how connected is your brain to all other parts of your body, and how are all of these parts weaving and talking and speaking to each other. So the inverse is also true. The more fragmented, split off, and rigid your brain is, the less health and well-being you experience. And this includes addiction. It's an expression of a lack of connection, lack of communication between different parts in your brain and your body, and possibly your spiritual core. So I don't know what most people believe on here, but I do believe you have kind of a core essential self, and it's important to connect to that part. So we kind of said that 3 times. And this is just kind of zooming out on connection. The concept of universal, this is on the concept of universal connection. So nothing in the world stands by itself. Every object is a link in an endless chain and is thus connected with all the other links. And this chain of the universe has never been broken. It unites all objects and processes in a single whole and thus has a universal character. We cannot move so much as our little finger without disturbing the whole universe. The life of the universe, its history, lies in an infinite web of connections. So that's just a beautiful concept to meditate on. So I'm going to pause here and just see if there's any new people or questions. How are we doing? Is that sound still in the background? That's very strange. I have a very
Is Natalia? I noticed she's the only one that's not muted.
Okay.
Natalia Holmes.
I'll just ask to mute. Okay. I'm going to mute all. And I'm going to go back into present. It's more of a static noise. Yeah, I don't really know because I don't have anything playing.
It's to my liking. It's mild. I think you could go forward personally
Okay.
for me.
All right. Well, sorry about the static noise. Gotcha. Maybe it's my internet connection, and yeah, I'm not sure. Right. So I'll go back to that. So concept number 2 is that you can nourish your neural pathways with love. And in order to break addictive habits, you need to create an inner ecology of thriving, just as a tree needs a healthy environment to grow in. So if you focus on nourishing your core needs instead of curing the addiction, then you will not feel such a need to reach for the coping mechanism because you will create an inner environment to thrive in. So if you were like a tree and you're growing and the tree has proper nutrients and density in the soil, which provides the safety for the tree, plenty of sunlight, which could provide that love, and ample amounts of water, which could be looked at as belonging, then the inner garden, like your inner garden, can grow and thrive, the tree can grow and thrive, and you can become part of the whole ecosystem of interwoven connection, right? Because that tree doesn't actually stand alone. It's reliant on all of these other forces within the earth to survive. And we are less likely to reach for our vices if we're in a healthy, supportive inner and outer environment. There's been many studies around that, and this one included. So this is in Nature Neuroscience, that rats prefer social interaction, aka love, safety, and belonging, to methamphetamine and heroin. So the researchers gave them an option to press a lever where they would get meth, or a different option that would open a door and lead to another rat to interact with. And the rats opted to open the door with, the other buddy on the other side 90% of the time, even though they had previously self-administered the meth. So for many days before that, they were having addictive behaviors, but when presented this other option, they're like, ooh, I like social interaction a little bit more. So that's a good sign. And focusing on love, safety, and belonging over and over again rewires our brain circuits that may have been hijacked by dopamine responses. So most addiction triggers the dopamine response, which is a gratification response. And then it tells your brain, ooh, I got gratified from doing that one behavior, so like do it again. It's kind of like the slot machine button, like you get a little ping, or the social media notifications, we get a little hit of dopamine, so we do it again to get the dopamine response. But over time, that kind of like wears off, like the high wears off, and you need a stronger hit of dopamine for the same response. But we can rewire our brains, like we can create new neural pathways that create a more long-lasting, holistic feeling. So you have that power within you, and you can reinforce those pathways, and then the stronger that they get, the less satisfaction and craving that we get from the dopamine trigger response, which usually just leaves us kind of feeling empty and void and not satisfied at the end of the day anyways. I kind of went through that one a little fast, so I'm going to pause and just see if there's any questions on that. Okay, looks like we're good. Awesome. So I'll move into concept number 3, is it has to do with your, this skipped, I think, a slide. Something got out of order, I think. So anyways, it's knowing how to activate your rest and digest nervous system state with breath and presence in order to have healthy relationships. So this is kind of a quick training on your sympathetic nervous system state, and your parasympathetic. So we'll get into that. And here's a quote from Stig Stevenson. He's the creator of breathology and has set some of the world records on breath holding and diving. So the key to managing your state of mind and stress level lies in being able to activate the calming parasympathetic pathways of your nervous system on command. And the big one there is on command. So if you're under a really big stressful situation, or you're just under a lot of stress, because who isn't right now, right? In today's world, we're under extreme stressors. Like last week, I had to literally flee fires. I was driving through from here to Medford, and the Talent fire had broken out. So I was like driving through flames, getting to Medford, and I couldn't get back. And it was just kind of chaos. And then my friend called me over, hey, come to my house. Like, it's safe here. And I was like, girlfriend, we got to evacuate you. So we packed up her stuff and we evacuated, like literally leaving flames in her neighborhood. And I did not once go into fight or flight. There was no fear response or cortisol spike or panic, because I've trained my nervous system so much to be in a homeostasis in my parasympathetic. Of course, later I had to kind of digest the trauma and like the, whoa, that was really intense experience of it, but I didn't go into like a panicked state. So breath is a really great way to slow down your nervous system and to get out of a stress response, which usually means you are breathing in a very short, shallow, irregular way. And if you are moving to a calm, long, smooth breath pattern that regulates you from the fight or flight into the rest and digest state, which releases those feel-good hormones, and it brings healing and repair. And you can also start to think more clearly. So we could probably all use a couple of those deep breaths. So if you want to, I always like to place my hand on my heart and then exhale for twice as long. So if you inhale for 4 seconds, you're going to exhale for 8. Let's do one more, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 8. And so the reason I put my hand on my heart is because you have this vagus nerve that travels through your whole body, and it is one of the primary triggers for your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in, and it's most accessible and like on the surface of your skin around your chest. So you're actually touching the vagus nerve in a way which then can trigger the rest and digest state. So there's nothing like wrong with being in fight or flight for short periods of time. Fight or flight is what has kept us alive, and your nervous system's primary job is to keep you safe. So if there really is true danger, you would be able to hopefully run faster and just get out of sudden danger, but it isn't good to be in that state for prolonged periods of time, which most of us are living in today's society. So we'll just talk about the sympathetic highway briefly. So when there is that perceived threat, which we can often make the perceived threat be our romantic partner or our best friend, our roommate, a colleague, a boss. They can threaten our sense of safety. A landlord, because they own the house that you live in, maybe, you know, they can be perceived as threatening to your safety and well-being, even if they're not truly threatening your life. We can perceive them that way. So this shuts down your analytical thinking, and then you shorten your breath and you kind of gear up for that fight or that defensive response, right? So it can increase your heart rate, it can increase your blood pressure. It prepares the body to fight or flee or possibly freeze and be still. And then if you're in a relationship with someone or you're speaking with someone and you're in that fight or flight response and you say things probably out of anger or fear or reactivity, you're probably going to say something that you later regret. So I know I've been there, and it's a really good human skill for long-lasting relationships to know to not speak that much when we're in this triggered response. And so we want to learn how to anchor into this parasympathetic highway, which gives us access to more parts of the brain, so we can come up with a more reasonable, heartfelt, compassionate, kind of like understanding response where we are both heard, and then we can also hear what they're saying. So this literally opens us up to more empathy, love, compassion. We access it through those long, deep, slow breaths. It decreases our heart rate, our blood pressure. This is where all human bonding happens. It's also called the tend and befriend mechanism, because so, you know, in a way, because men were more the protectors, the hunters, the gatherers, and they function a little bit more on testosterone, they can survive more through that brute force, that fighting, that fight or flight response. But women actually survived over time more with the tend and befriend response. We're like, if I make friends with this person and we share some food and we bond, like, they're not going to kill me, hopefully. So this is a little bit more of a feminine response to survival. And I think it's a more overall worthy one to pursue. And this is where the magic healing happens in the brain and the body. It's where imperative regeneration happens for healing. So we want to get to this state when we're in the practice for love, safety, and belonging, because then all the neural networks open up and you can really anchor in these concepts. So if you've been on Earth long enough, chances are you're familiar with that triggered response where you might get angry, your focus narrows, and the only thing that matters to you in that moment is to be right. It's not to maintain love with this person. And if you're here, you're probably wanting to create more stable and long-lasting bonds, which rely on you to being able to down-regulate your nervous system. So this really is super crucial, vital thing to learn if you want to really deepen an intimacy with a partner over a long period of time and not drive each other crazy. So the fight or flight response just ruins true love. Like, you could have the most amazing partner, be super, super in love, be like, oh my God, I love this person. And they also might trigger you more than anyone else. More than likely, they'll probably trigger you more than anybody else. But you can really ruin, like, if let's say you were like, I finally got that relationship I always wanted, but you can just ruin it. You can completely sabotage it if you don't learn this key or truth of how to downregulate your nervous system. So the analogy that I'm giving here is like, you're ruining your perfect wedding cake. Like, if you're like, I found you love, it's so awesome, but now we're gonna fight over like the toppings on the wedding cake. We're going to obsess over it. We're going to like just completely ruin a perfect day because we can't agree what's going to go on our wedding cake. So this really is a detrimental thing that we've probably all done at some point and ruined a relationship or two, right? Yeah. So I kind of wanted to get through like the lengthy brainy stuff of this so we could get to the yummy juiciness. So we're almost there. So it's important to also know what your triggers are. So an important question that I usually ask my clients is, where in the body is that trigger coming from? So, or impulse, or that drive to reach towards that cigarette, the drink, the whatever. So if you could all close your eyes and go into your body, and you can put your hand on your body and really just tracking and seeing if you can find a place on your body that reaches for that thing. That's like, ooh, I need to look at my phone. I need to eat that super sweet, chocolatey, yummy treat to make myself feel better. And see if you can feel in your body where that comes from. And if you can't locate it now, maybe you can make a mental note to feel, where does that impulse come from? And then can you track the sensation there? So if it's like a little, I usually experience it as a little ping. Like it's just a tiny, tiny little, yours might be bigger than that. So what is the felt sense of the trigger? Is it wiry? Is it sharp? Is it sinking? Like, does it cause you to sink your belly a little bit, like that dropping feeling? And then asking that part, what do you actually need? Instead of this thing, is there a need underneath that? And you're just listening for an answer. You're not trying to come up with an answer. You're not trying to be smart with your answer. Like, ooh, what does that part actually need? It might need some soothing, right? It's reaching for something. It might need to be soothed. It might need to feel safe. It might want to be reassured that everything's going to be okay. So how can you start to meet that need? Or feel that difficult emotion underneath that? Or if you really want to satiate that desire, that's like, no, I really want that piece of cake and I'm going to eat it. Then how much can you savor the cake, right? So like if you're gonna go for that desire and that need fulfillment and you're like, no, I'm gonna watch the porn, I'm gonna just like get on Facebook for an hour, it's like, how much loving conscious awareness can you bring to that habit, right? So if you're gonna do it, like do it with consciousness, do it with presence, do it with savoring, do it with that like delectable, like I'm gonna enjoy this piece of cake so much. And so if you bring your conscious loving awareness to that pattern hopefully it's going to satiate you a little bit more deeply than if you just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to just stuff my face for a while and I'm not going to even enjoy it. You might as well try to be satiated from it or savor it in some way. Beautiful. So now that you're all in this kind of meditative place, I'm going to bring us into the practice of anchoring love, safety, and belonging into the nervous system. So if you're not already, you can go into a lying down position or a sitting back in your chair position. So get extra comfortable and cozy, and yeah, cover yourself with a blanket. And get really comfortable. And I'm going to share my audio. Yeah, thanks, Justin, for bringing up that Wim Hof triggers the parasympathetic. I actually heard that Wim Hof triggers the sympathetic state, but I don't know enough about it to know like how and when it switches over. Maybe when you're in the breath holds, you go back into the parastate. All right, so I'm going to share my audio with you. Beautiful. So, setting an intention for this practice. It could be to feel more love in your body. It could be to make yourself feel really, really safe. And if there's anything that you could do now before we get super deep into it to make yourself feel even more safe, like locking the door, sending that one last little text, you can do that now. And just so you know, when I send you this audio meditation later, like the recording, is that you can do this with self-pleasure at any time. And it opens up more neural pathways in the brain, more suggestion. You're a little bit more plastic when you have more senses turned on. So you can start with one hand on your chest and one hand on your solar plexus or your belly. Taking some of those long, slow, deep breaths. So you can inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth, and inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. And you can relax the jaw. And eventually, there will be no pause between the inhale and the exhale, so it's a connected style of breath. You can either breathe in and out through the nose or the mouth, but just no pause between the inhale and the exhale. So just going back into that intention to love yourself even more completely. To love those parts that maybe didn't get the love that they really wanted in that last relationship or growing up as a child. And to love the part that needs to feel safe, that wants to belong with your tribe. To fully love the part of you that was judged or criticized or cut off. Dropping into the felt sense of the body. So if you feel warm or cool, what is the temperature? Can you feel the full area of your back being supported? The ground rushing up to meet you and holding you. Just staying in breath and sensation as much as you can throughout the practice. And always just noticing those thoughts coming up. Knowing you can hold all of you, that all of you is welcome here. That it's safe to be you. So first you're going to scan the body for a part that feels the most safe right now. So this is called resourcing. You're going to resource that sense of safety, and if you can't find it right now, you can imagine a time or a place that you felt really safe. We're imagining a place that you do feel safe. So, I feel really safe in the palms of my hands. And that part could be anywhere in your body. You could feel safe in your heart, you could feel safety in your belly. Let's see if you can breathe into that sense of safety, wherever that is in the body for you. If you can just amplify it a little bit, expand it, widen it, bring more consciousness to that part of you. And then if you can, scan your body for a part of you that doesn't feel safe. So, is there a part of you that needs more safety? For me, it's my solar plexus and my belly. Can you resource some of the safety that you felt in that other place? So for me, it's my hands. Can you give it to the other part of your body? Any part that feels nervous, anxious, cut off. Can you connect to that part? And as much as you can, breathe that feeling of safety into that part of the body. Whisper, safety, safety, safety. You are safe now. That it's safe to inhabit this part of the body. Even holding this part as if you were holding a small child. How would you soothe that little child? Safe. And then we're going to wire safety through the chakras. So if you can bring your awareness to your crown, to kind of the root of your divinity, can you feel safe in your divinity, in your connection to all that is? And then breathing safety through the third eye. Is it safe? Can you feel safety in your genius and your imagination? That it's safe to be in your genius. And can you weave that divinity in the crown all the way into your throat, in your unique expression in your voice, that it's safe to express yourself. It's safe to connect to your divinity through your throat center. And weaving that divinity through the crown into your heart center, that it's safe to feel divine love. It's safe to feel love here. And then breathing that divinity all the way down to your solar plexus, your personal power. That it's safe to have your divinity connected to your power. And then breathing the divinity from your crown down to your pelvic region, to your sex center, that it's safe to have your divinity connected to your raw, erotic, sexual energy. That it's safe to feel your erotic energy, your sexuality, your sexual desire. And then breathing that all the way down to your root, that it's safe to feel your divinity connected to the root of your being, the most primal parts of you, the most dense part of your form. It's safe to be rooted here. So anchoring your divinity all the way down to the root of your genitals, all the way down your legs, your feet reaching down into the earth. And it's safe to be a divine human here and now, connected to yourself and the earth and each other. To feel divinity weave safety through all of these energy centers. Breathe it down from the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, your sex center, all the way down into the perineum, the root. And breathing safety into the marrow of your being, your flesh, your bones, like deep, deep, deep into the middle of your being. You know what it's like to be safe. Breathing that in. And now feeling for a part of you that feels like you don't belong, that you don't quite fit in where you are, or that wants to feel like you belong even more, to have that part of you that yearns for belonging. Can you connect with that part inside of you? Where does that part live? That wants to belong. And can you give that part of you a sense that they belong with you? Similar to how we did earlier of soothing a small child, like, come here, I'm going to take your hand. You belong right here with me. You can even take them to the throne of your heart. It's like the center of your being where all parts of you are welcome. And give it a seat at the round table in your heart. It's like you belong to me. You belong in the center of my heart. You've always belonged here. Breathing in that sense of belonging, even if it's hard, even if it's difficult or painful. Breathing in that sense of belonging. I can be myself fully and belong. I belong in my body. I belong to myself. I belong on this earth. I belong to humanity. I belong to my tribe. And feeling that it's safe to belong throughout all time and space, in all dimensions of your being, because you belong in the universe. Breathing in that sense of belonging deep inside the heart, the body, the brain. Breathing it in. Knowing you can activate a sense of pleasure here. That if you want to amp it up a little bit, your camera's off, you can self-pleasure to bring more sensations there. Breathing it all the way into the bones and the marrow. I belong. I belong to me. I belong to this human family. I belong. And if you come up against any old mechanisms, thoughts, belief patterns, conditioning, resistance, you can shake and sound that part out. So if that resistance had a voice, if you could help move it along, you can breathe into it and exhaling it out. You can shake it out. Any part that's resisting it, that doesn't feel like it belongs, or if it's not even you, you can kind of shake it out. Breathe it out, massage it out of your body. And then returning to that homeostasis inside. And then coming into a deep sense of love. So if there's a spot or a place inside the body that feels the sensation of love, or even just a sense of warmth, where in the body is that? So breathing into that space that can access love, or you can imagine a time that you felt the most loved, or how the sun feels on your skin, or like that inner mother that knows how to love. So once you have a sense of that imprint of what it feels like to feel love in the body, scan for a part that needs to feel more of that love, that comforting, that soothing. You can call upon your inner child, the part of you that wasn't accepted in grade school or made fun of. And again, welcome that part of you to the throne of your heart. You are welcome here. And shower that part with love. Give it to that part with you. There's no tomorrow. And if it's difficult for you, you can just say, I am wanting to learn how to love you. I want to learn how to love you even more. Can you teach me how to hold you, how to love you, how to care for you? Because there's only two places that we can get unconditional love. And that is ourselves and the divine, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. It's really hard to get unconditional love from other humans, but we can give it to ourselves. Simply with that statement, I want to learn how to love you. And now anchoring into that deep love for yourself, for all parts of you. Even if you've never truly felt it before, all that love that you wanted from your mother or your father or your ex, like I wanted it just in that specific way and they couldn't give it to me, but you can give it to yourself. Precious part of me, I love you so much, and I want to learn how to take care of you. Really giving this deep nourishment to yourself, and breathe it in. Like a mother loving her child, saying, I see you, I hold you, you are safe here with me. Feeling that love trickle down from the crown of the head, down into the third eye. You can touch that part of your body, allowing it to trickle down into your throat center, your heart, down your solar plexus, down into your sacral, sex center, all the way down into your root, primal, passionate nature, down your legs, down your feet, down into the roots of the earth, letting love penetrate you. And loving all the parts that don't feel love, not judging those parts, not giving it more resistance. It's okay to feel exactly how you're feeling right now. To have the experience that you needed to have. Saying to yourself, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of feeling safe in this world. I am worthy of belonging. And I am worthy of all that I desire. I am worthy of living a life that I love. And I deserve to thrive. And I love myself enough to allow myself to thrive. Allowing that to integrate in your being. Breathing that in. You love yourself enough to support your own thriving. And then doing whatever you need to do to bring yourself to completion. You can kind of brush your hair back, just creating some sensation on the body, bringing yourself back into the room. You can squeeze your shoulders, giving yourself a little hug. You can stretch a little bit, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And a little shake. Just bringing yourself slowly back. So we had a nice little cozy nap time, and you can come back to that practice anytime. So I will probably message you on Meetup or however you found me for your email, and I'll send that audio practice to you. It also means you subscribe to my newsletter. I hope that's okay. So if you give me your email, I will send that to you. But you also get to, ooh, I love this. Now it's like nap time in here. It's really nice. Does anyone want to share their experience of how that was for you? If it was blocked, if it was nice? How was your experience?
Hi, Lauren. Prantik here again. Yeah, I'd like to share something interesting. I never felt that before. So when we were doing the meditation, when we were rubbing, I was rubbing on my heart and my belly. Suddenly I felt a very nice smell.
Ooh.
Is that common, or was that some kind of a hallucination?
I think you're completely special.
No.
So
that was strange.
You triggered a smell. So that means that you were deep in your limbic system, which, like, we're usually in our cortical brain, the thinking, analytical, problem-solving part of your brain. And the sense of smell happens deeper in your limbic system. And so it just means that you dropped into a deeper state, like you accessed a deeper state of consciousness. And that's kind of where our emotional imprinting lives. And smell is one of our most primal senses that can be triggering for love, right? Like if you smell your mom's perfume, or like for me, it was always my grandmother. She had such a strong smell, or my first love had a certain cologne. So it's kind of like the easiest way to access memory. So it's really cool that you went to that level.
I don't know where it came from, but it probably smells something like an incense stick from the temples. But well, I wanted to share that because that was kind of strange to me. But thank you.
Beautiful, amazing. Did anybody else get a sense of smell? No, maybe. So maybe it's not extremely common.
I had something to share. For a few, I don't know, minutes in the middle of when I was pretty relaxed, I'd been working on a design project earlier today, and I saw a new solution. So that was really interesting. I don't know if that was where we were trying to get to, but that's what happened to me. And other than that, it was very relaxing. I felt like I was at yoga.
Nice.
But I saw a new way of building a table that I've been thinking about on and off all day. And so
wow,
that was interesting. It was powerful.
I'm going to want to see the end result.
I'll send you a picture.
Awesome. Yeah. So that just means that you were able to access more neural pathways in your brain, right? Like the creativity part opens up, like we can relax, but then, right, those problem solving parts of us, of our imagination start to come in. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And maybe just time for one more share if anyone's burning to share how that was. Maybe a woman in the room. There's a woman that would like to speak, how that was for you, or anything that came up. Okay, so maybe not. Maybe another man who would like to speak. One more person would like to share. We have some shy ladies in the house. So sometimes when I do this practice, sometimes I do this just for women, or it's just like a women's group. So there sometimes can be tears. Sometimes there can be kind of emotions that come up of, wow, I haven't accessed these parts of myself in such a long time. There can just be numbness. So if the breath work didn't go deep enough, or if there's kind of some other blockage on top, you could have felt numb. So there can be a range of experiences from tears to numbness, and that's totally okay. Just knowing like, oh, there's probably another layer, and there's probably another round. There's probably another way to access more parts of myself. And I also find that these practices go deeper when I'm experiencing a trigger, when I'm like, my attachment mechanism is triggered, or I'm really disappointed in the lack of connection with someone, or I am in a fight or flight response and I need to soothe my nervous system. I find that I can go deeper if I'm beginning with a little trigger or pain or heartbreak of some kind. That's kind of a access point to go even deeper into these. So sometimes this won't provide this like huge, oh my God, amazing experience if you're not working with emotion, like if you're not working with some kind of tangible, palpable trigger. So thank you for those who shared and those who are staying on. So I'd love to give you that gift. I'm having trouble with the chat. Like I'll probably be able to save it at the end if you want to drop your email there, but I'll probably reach out to you privately. But there's also, you know, there's an invitation to work with me. So I know personally that I thrive in a container. I thrive being held accountable, that anytime that I try to make a new habit pattern or self-practice or meditation practice, usually I show up for that practice when I am being held in a container. And sometimes that can look like, hey, I actually paid to be in this program, so I'm going to meditate every day. Or I'm having some kind of guidance to change a behavior. And it's easier to make that change. And it is, yeah, you can take the meditation that I give you and practice it on your own, and you might do it a couple times and you might have some benefit. But if you're like, I'm really committed and devoted to making some long-lasting change in my life, and also being in that beautiful romantic lovership that you desire. So I know it means the world to really have a truly thriving, connected relationship, whatever that looks like for you. If it's deepening into the one that you have, being able to accept love more deeply in your being. Because I know sometimes even if we have that relationship, we find all the ways to reject the love and push it away or sabotage it. So if that's you and you want to go deeper and you want support, I do have an invitation to fill out an application to work with me. So there's just a couple questions, and then we hop on a 30-minute call. And it's really, that 30-minute call is all about you. I'm really just listening. What are your desires in sex and love? What are your number one challenges? What's getting in the way? And then I will just make a recommendation of, well, like I'm really seeing it from this perspective. And I usually get to the root cause in one call. Like it's usually very clarifying in one call. And that 30 minutes is just for you. I'm not selling anything, but if I feel like we're a right fit to move forward, we can book another call and talk about what the coaching container could look like working further with me. But I really just love making that connection with people. So I will drop the link in to have a love breakthrough with me. And that is not sending. Let's see. There we go. So that is in the chat. And then I'll put it up on the screen up here too. So it's there as well, but it's probably easier to copy and paste it from the chat box. So again, I just have a few spots for the longer coaching containers. So if one of those people are you, I would love to have you. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, and then here is that link again. And it is valuable, you know, it's like my time is valuable, but I also honor your time and that you stayed here till the end. And just really appreciating you guys trusting someone that you haven't met yet or didn't know before. So again, I'm Lauren Emily Searles and Tantric Love and Sex Coach. And I'm really passionate about people getting the love that they truly desire, because I just know how much that adds to my life and how fulfilling it is. And I get really excited when people have breakthroughs and resolve their blocks to getting that deeper love and connection they desire. So that's like literally what brings me the most joy and absolutely lights up my life and brings me a lot of satisfaction. So are there any questions that I can answer?
Yeah, you said are you going to send us the audio of this meditation that you just did?
Yeah. So once you privately send me your email, I'm going to add you to a list, and then I'm going to send it out all at once. So by you opting in, you're just being added to my email list, and I probably send out an email like once a month.
Right.
I don't really send out a lot of emails, but it is at least to stay connected in some way. So that'll probably be sent out by Monday. And I'll also try to, for some reason, I can't copy and paste from the chat box. So if you're sending it on the chat, I might not get it. So I'll just get it from you for Meetup if you would like it. And yeah, and if you want to kind of go forward and just explore what it's like working with me, and definitely fill out that application. And we'll create a love breakthrough for you. And it's really exciting. Yeah. So are there any last questions before we hop off? We're good. We're just like cruising through. Awesome. Well, thanks for
Lauren.
Yeah.
Just one quick question. What's your email? You want us to?
Sure. You can, yeah, you can email me. That's even better, actually. So I will put it in the chat box.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest way.
Thank you for solving a problem. My brain was thinking about 30 million other things today. So yeah, you can even shoot me an email. That works too. And then I'll add you, and I will send you the anchor in love, safety, and belonging. And you get to hear my beautiful voice whispering these things to you, and go even deeper. So it's a lovely practice anytime that you're feeling like a little trigger come up and you need extra soothing. And it's really important to learn self-soothing as a tool. Like, this is just coming back to the self, even if it's for 5 minutes over and over again. It really builds your nervous system resiliency. So like kind of how I could be fleeing the flames and fires and packing up my friend's house for her and all of this stuff and like not be panicked. It was like, oh, I've built this mechanism of stability inside of myself over and over and over and over again, so that you have this resting state of resiliency that you can return to, that rest and digest state over and over again, which is where the healing happens. It's kind of where the juice of life is. It's where love and connection is. And the fight or flight is just survival. It's just, can I get through this moment? And it doesn't always lead us to saying nice things when we're in relationship with people. So it's a great way to resolve conflict, is to learn really how to get into your rest and digest state and speak from there. And also, like, one rule of thumb is just like, if I'm in a reactionary state, do I really need to say this right now? Like, can I wait can this wait for a time when I'm feeling like just more centered and grounded? Because I know there's a lot of Facebook discussions and we're all in debate and we're all like on our computers, like pissed off and reactionary, right? So it's kind of like, ooh, is this gonna be helpful and kind, or can I like take a pause and a little breather? Yeah, nonviolent communication, super important. I like, oh, it's great for getting triggered with people. I don't think that's what you meant to say, but it's funny. Um, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I look forward to teaching more here too. There's just so much to say. So even this was really hard for me to condense and summarize. So, yay. Thank you so much. It was a lovely experience being with all of you. And yeah, NVC. So NVC, nonviolent communication, is really great in training your ear for compassion. It's like training your ear for listening for someone's needs, as opposed to what they're actually maybe saying to you, which is maybe everything that you're doing wrong, which might lead you to react. But it's really like, even if the other person isn't practicing NVC, like nonviolent communication with you, you're just like, huh, wow, like I could just get really curious about what does this person really need right now? Because we're usually triggered when we have an unmet need, or we need to make like a request or requirement of someone, right? So it's a great tool if you take another weekend or class, but even just start listening, like for people's needs. Do they need to feel safe? Do they need to feel like they belong? Do they need me to just take out the trash for them without asking? Like, it's a really quick way to get out of an argument is to ask them, like, what do you need from me? What can I do for you? So thank you so much. Thanks for that recommendation, Justin. And my link is there. And just feel free to reach out anytime. I'm just so grateful for your presence here this evening. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. Thank you. That was great. Appreciate
Yay.
it.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate that. Awesome. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Jeff. Bye. Bye, Martin. Bye, Cheryl. Thank you.